Hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're going to do a flip through of these two journals. I finally finished this one up and got everything done. So I'll give you a flip through of that. And since then I have thrown this one together. It's about the same kind of a thing. It's a lap book. And I did a 12-inch. Well, it's not exactly 12 inches. Because this is a file folder. And I always thought they were 12 inches, but they're not. They're like 11 and 5/8 or something. So anyhow, this was the music Stamperia pad. And it has sort of a dreamy look to it and everything. And had a lot of music in it and such. So I will show you what I did with it. In the meantime, let's just zoom in a little bit and we'll flip through this one. I want to thank everyone. Thank you for coming by and visiting and seeing what there is to see today. This is the little squirrel that we decided to put on the front. Of course, we covered our all of our spines, that's the word, with our scrap pieces. The bear is on the back. This one up here, I put one of those cutouts. I forget. It was like one page that had a lot of cutouts and things on it. And I actually backed it with some paper that I had that kind of blended in. It kind of hits right there, but it goes down in there. And then, of course, I did my whale tails. And I tried to pull out, I did the whale tails out of the actual paper scraps that I had left over. I didn't hardly have any paper left over from this. I was amazed. And I like that little pine cone there. And there's a few acorns. And, you know, usually bears go after acorns, I think. The deer are especially doing that right now. So you flip it open. And you have the beginning here where I have taken, there was a little fern that I put on here. This is sort of like just a little writing page. And this was that tuck that I made out of the end part of the file folder. And then I added this extra piece here. I like where I've got that Arcana Nature. And this left side is the fish side. I guess that's what I've called it. I put this piece here thinking it looked like a branch or something that had fallen into the pond. And it was down in there. This was a scrap from the front page. And I also covered the back there so you could write on it. And this was another little piece that you could write on. Of course, you know I love ferns. Me and ferns are best friends. And so my extra little cutouts, the fussy cuts, I put 2 jumping fish like they're going after those bugs. And this is where you can lift it up. And then you pull up and you see the eagle page. And the eagle, I bumped it out. I don't know if you can see it quite there. But I've got these small little foam pads. And I bumped him out. Because I really couldn't figure out where to put him in here in the book. And I said, well, I'm just going to put him here over top of himself and bump him. And of course, you remember, if you've been watching, how I made the pocket from like a little scrap. And I did a jiggy jag on the trees where it looked like it just fades right in. Here I've added a pine cone and a bird. And then I had little foxes on the back side there. Just like some little things you might find there in the forest. Then we got our big buck. My husband, he finally got his big buck. He got an 8-pointer. So he'll usually grind us up deer meat. And that's what we use for our hamburgers and meatloaf and vegetable soup, that kind of thing. All right, now this little guy here, the squirrel, is a pocket. And so I've got this little guy from the front cover, got his whale tail on there and his back base paper, so you can write on it. And then this one, this is one of the little squares that they supplied in the Stamperia pad. And then there was a tag. And so anyway, I wanted to make a taller tag, so I just included those two together and because they were both sort of a board theme or a wood theme, wood grain, I guess you could say, it worked. And then back here, I added an extra tag to it because it was just brown on the back. And then you got the buck looking out from behind the birch tree there. And I like the way that turned out. So this has little clear Velcro dots on it, holding it shut. I mean, look, you can't even see it. That's where the two clear ones are. I got a bug climbing up the tree there. And I didn't know where else to put him. He's a pretty bug, though. And then this is the fox flip out. And we have an upside down kind of a situation here. There's a tag with some oak leaves on it. And this was just like a little extra piece that I had that had like berries on it. So I took the square and put it on top of that. Some stuff I was kind of running out of where I was going to put it. This page can be written on very easily because of it being like just the lighter colors. I've got the little foxes there on the page. And then you got your background. And I just thought that was so pretty. I just left it. So that goes there. And then, of course, I think you've seen the little hedgehog. He's on the back part of the pocket. Now, I didn't cut a thumb pull there, which I didn't think I needed to. I like how the little fox is looking out from behind there. So we put those two here. And then flip that one back down. And there's our scene again. I just love these little books. I don't know. That's why I went ahead and did another one. Because I really enjoy doing them. Now, over here, we have 3 of those little squares that I've glued together. And I try to do it in a way that they were all harmonious with each other. You got the bird in the bush. He's got his nest in the tree just above him. And then you got the branches of the tree and the forest in the background there. Got another little leaf on my whale tail to add to the look. And then on the back, you can actually write. I love these because they did... I've got something about this look here. I love that faded watercolor look. It's just gorgeous to me. We got to get around to doing some... what is that? The first, second, and third degree stamping. That kind of, you can get that kind of an impression with that. But here I've added some oak leaves with some acorns. I think that's an oak. I've got the bear, and then he's got an acorn down here I added so he could be pawing around at it. And then on the back can be written. Now this is the one that had, instead of me gluing this whole sheet here down, which I added another leaf here, and the pretty falcon, I made it into where it was actually a tuck. So you could do either way. You can go all the way down with your glue, or you can make a tuck out of it. And so we got a squirrel peeking out here. He's another fussy cut. And then this can go up here. And I just kind of stagger as much as I can. I like the word forest sticking out there. And then when you open it, you've got your berry page with your bird and her nest. And it's talking about the flower of life. Now this is where I had that extra sheet, and I really loved it. And I didn't know what else to do with it. And so I made a flip out. So here we go. You can flip it out this way. And you can see all the pretty things that's on it. We got the deer with her tracks, or his tracks, of my fern. I put this boar here. He was one of the fussy cuts. And I just kind of put him over top of that tree because I didn't think he heard anything. And then I've got some more berries, maybe strawberries, foxes. All of these are actually on the paper. That's on the back side of the paper. And then when you flip it around this way, it's just mostly... the acorn leaves and kind of skeletal leaf look. But I added this deer head here. Him and his horns. And then over here I added like a pocket. And then it's just got like the fox in it again. The fox is like everywhere. These two were from the front. Front of the paper pad. So I just cut them out and then put a goodie on the back side of them and let it go from there. They stick out a little bit at the top, but I'm okay with that. So when you flip that open and move this back in, you've got the waterfall. So this is what happens here. We've got a waterfall, which can be written on the back of. Then you got the deer. And the way I was saying this is sort of like the water side was over here, and then the forest side was on the right side. So that's kind of how it worked out. And I put, of course, the fish down here because all the water kind of flows that way. And all of y'all agreed with me. There was quite a few of you that agreed that the fish was properly put on the bottom because that would be the water side. And then here, this was one of those little tags, little tiny tag. I don't see one local, but it had like the nest on it. So I fussy cut that out and put it here. And then I put a bird up here. Because the only thing this had on it was like green with a few twigs and the fern. Because this is actually supposed to be this way and not that way. I added the word or the brand name Forest on this paper, which was just from the front cover. And really just, you can see what's there. And everything is like already in the book anyway. You're not missing nothing. It's got nature vibes there. And I could never figure out where to put this fox. So I covered this back. And because of the way I did it with, it was like a harvest tablecloth, it sucked in orange. So that went perfectly with him. And I even put like a little bump up here for him to be standing on. But anyhow, that's how that turned out. And I was really happy with how it did. Oh, we got to put our flips back. Then that flips that way. Then that goes shut. And I decided not to do any kind of a closure on it. It just holds together all on its own. So we have that one. And now I'm going to have to zoom out for this one. Because this one is, like I said, the full size of a file folder. Yeah, that'll work. And I used some of this, what do they call this kind of ribbon? Ren sent some of this to me long ago. And sorry silk. That's what they call it. Okay, I knew it would come to me eventually. I've used one of these, what do you call those? A ring something. Okay, I went over to look. I don't know if this is considered a hitch fastener or a ring fastener, but I think it's one or the other. But usually some people will put these on the ends and they'll have like little tassel tails or something hanging off of them. But I thought it would work good here to hold the ribbon that holds this shut. This is from another item set of stuff that I had, but the sound of silence I thought worked good because I think it was somewhere in here it had the sound of silence on one of these music score pages. So I just cut this lady out. I wanted her for the front, and she's playing her harp. I wanted something else up here. It had a word on it, but this is the only thing I could find that would fit well enough that I wasn't covering her up all the way. And then you flip it over. I've got the blue music paper on the back spine. And then here I've got like the other side of her 12 by 12 page, which has something about l'aurore. Anyway, it's a French word, but then the words are in, oh no, they're in French, aren't they? Fascinating melody numbers adapted for both study and, okay, whatever. I never got to learn anything about music, so if you all know what this is, that's good. I've also got these two little scrappies here that had a lot of teal in it. I almost put a teal colored sari silk on here, but it was too deep of a teal, and it would just, take away from it. Okay, so there was one piece on the back that showed you all the pages that was in the Stamperia pad that had this little piano score, keyboard, whatever you want to call it, going down. So I added to it a little bit so it worked around these notches of the file folder. And then inside on another piece of 12 by 12, was another music score of a keyboard, I mean. And I really loved those. And I was almost going to put a little extension on this side like I did on the other. And then I said, well, no, let me just leave it like that, because it kind of guides you into the actual piano or pianoforte. And I really liked how that worked. So, yeah, and then in here I've got more of that little blue music score. And I actually covered up the legs of my fastener on the outside right there. But can you tell? I did a pretty good job. All right, so this is my flip page. I guess I'm doing them all about the same. But this has nothing on it. It's just the look, you got going there. And you flip up here. And this has got a couple of little goodies tucked in it, and that's all. It's like some words behind it, a lot of music scores behind it. This was one of the tags, and I just put it down. I just glued it all the way down, just for something else. Got a little piano there. Then you get down here, and you can see this page had a few things with the violin. You'll see the big violin out here on the next page over, but it went with this page as well. But here's another one of the tags, just like the guy up here. And I just glued it completely down. So there's no tucks or anything on these outside pages. But when you get in here, I did have a couple of things tucked into this small, I don't know, I think it was a small journal card. So I put that there so you could read some of the words. It has some pretty roses and such. And then inside, I kind of did it again like I did the other page. I've got a little journal card with a piano keyboard on it. This was like a little extra, like a fussy cut kind of a page that was in the Stamperia pad. And then this had the little violin on it, so I thought that would make the perfect pocket. And it wasn't, it was a journal card, but I made it into a pocket. And then this page that was in there, I guess it's all like music, like books of music. I'm supposing that's what it is. And so we have where we can flip this open, and there we go. We have like places where you can actually journal and write to your heart's content. I did a couple of little file folder pieces and bumped one of them up above the other to make a couple little pocket areas. So that's what these are. And then that can cover that back up. That bottom goes and top goes. Okay. Now over here, this is another one of those plain score pages. I made an upper tuck with little guys there. And down here I've got A Little Bird Whispered to Me by John Gilbert. We have a book. I guess that's a bookmark. It's awful small though, but I love the beautiful and the script and everything that's on it. And then more of the little angels. So they all kind of just go in here. And I took another one of the pieces of scrap file folder, and I put this Franz Schubert pianoforte, so it kind of goes with this page when you have it open. So then we open it up here, and I did put the extension on the end of the file folder here to make an extra pocket. So there's a few little things tucked in the pocket, and then I've got a couple of little angels kind of stuck up there, kind of tucked underneath. So that's how that turned out. And this is your harpsichord. I guess that's what they call it. And I wanted a flip. And the flip in this one is a little different than the other one. This is another kind of a waterfall flip. And I had to sew it together. That's the only thing. I had two pieces of file folder. So the outer one here, how did I do that? The outer one here is one piece. It's just like a scrap piece. So, and then I had a back one here that also included the tuck part. So I had to take a little bit of a string, and I went from, I think I opened it up like that, held that together, and I went in and I sewed about a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, something along that route. Anyway, I got it accomplished somehow. And you can kind of see the strings going up underneath this one piece of paper here to hide it. So anyhow, I got the great big old violin out here. I think that's gorgeous. It goes with the colors over here really well. And then this is another one of those little bookmarks. So I just made a U-glue there and made that like a tuck pot spot where you can actually see part of the violin. And then this down here was like a little tuck for something. And this was another one of the tags, and I just went ahead and glued it down. But I don't know. I think somebody would get a lot of usage out of this that is into music. It's just something really pretty. There's another of the piano forte. And this is the only belly band I made, but I tucked it there. This over here has a harp and another journal card in it. And it itself was another journal card. It's got the first 6 weeks daily precepts and examples harp. So that's why I got a harp in there, because it talks about the harp. And then we have the back page, which it's got a little bit of resistance there. But anyhow, we have the little cupids, the tag and the journal card in here, which also has the music pieces with another cupid. And then, like I said, this was the 2 pieces that was off of the front of the Stamperia pad. And I just kind of cut that whole strip and put something here to hide the words. We have a tiny envelope that I guess you can open and write in if you wanted to. Has an extra little tag. And then that kind of just tucks back up in here. And then here's another journal card. And then, of course, back here you could write. Now, here's where it has the sound of silence, but I cut it off. Because, I'll tell you, I use every bit of this stuff. I used every bit of it. I had just a little hair that got thrown over there, a few little strips, and that was all. And then, I think I showed you that part. So, yeah, then that kind of flips shut. And it goes over top of that. And that goes there. And it comes to be shut. And then you get your little goodie here and tie it back up. I was going to use some magnets in here. I never did. I didn't use any of the Velcro strips in here. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the flip through. Got a few more ideas on things you could do with a lapbook. Like, you don't have to just do a cut version, a cut down version. You can do a full-fledged tall version of the of the file folder. I had to go to Walmart and get me some more. So all I did was I took one and I just used the whole thing. I didn't cut nothing off of it. I just used the whole thing like that. It's already had part of my spine there, and I usually will go over to the one, two, it's got 3, and I go over to the second one, and I make that part the rest of my spine, and I think that's like 1/8 and 1/8. I think that's what it is. And then, depending on how wide I wanted it to be, I wanted this one to be 6 inches wide. So I went over 6 inches from that last score that I bent at. And then I folded it in again. And then I added an extra score for that small spine that was on the outside. And that's kind of what I did. I hope that's understandable. But I thought maybe that would be more easier for somebody that wants to just use their whole book, and it's easier to cut your items to put inside and all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, the more you do it, the easier it gets. This is my 3rd or 4th one. I think it may be my 4th one I've done. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you have a great, great day. It's beautiful outside. It's nice and warm. It's like 70 degrees here in Virginia. And it's very windy. But I'm going to have to get off of here. Mom went over to the hospital to get checked on. To see how she's percolating with her healing, and I get to go down there and find out what they told her. But my brother said she probably wouldn't be back down there by, until 3, back to her room. But she got in a wheelchair yesterday. He wheeled her around. She was in such great spirits. Tired, but, she's seeing that there's improvement going. All right, well, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.